So this happened when my aunt moved into this gorgeous Victorian house upstate. You know the type. Stained glass, wraparound porch, and way too cheap for a reason. The first week she kept hearing kids laughing. Not cute laughter though, like mocking giggles. Right in her ear, she'd turn around and her cat would be hissing at the wallpaper. Yeah, the wallpaper. One night, she woke up to tiny handprints glowing on the walls, bright red like they'd been pressed in wet paint. She called me crying, and I drove up to help, but when I got there, the prints were gone. Instead, there were these words scratched into the floorboards. We live here, you don't. We stayed at a motel that night. The next morning, the realtor finally fessed up. A family of 5 died there in the 1920s. Parents, 3 kids, and get this, they'd been sealed inside the walls by the dad. My aunt moved out the next day, but she swears she still hears scratching when she visits, like tiny nails trying to claw their way out. Last year, my buddy Ethan bought this antique portrait at a flea market. Just a normal 1800s era lady in a black dress, except her eyes followed you, like wherever you went in the room. Ethan thought it was cool at first, but after a week, weird stuff started happening. His dog would bark at the painting nonstop. Lights flickered when he walked past it. Then one night, he woke up to the smell of roses. The lady in the portrait was holding fresh flowers. The next day, the painting changed again. She was smiling. He tried to get rid of it, but it kept reappearing in his house. Burned it next morning, hanging above his bed. Finally, he gave it to a museum. But last week, he texted me a photo. The portrait's back in his hallway, and now there's 2 figures in it. The lady and a shadowy man standing behind her. This one's mine. When I was 10, my parents rented this cabin-style house. My room had this weird closet door that wouldn't open, like no knob, just a rusty padlock. Dad said it was sealed shut for years. But one night, I woke up to the door wide open. Inside was a staircase leading down, super narrow, covered in cobwebs, and I heard humming, a woman's voice singing, "Twinkle, twinkle, little star." I told my mom, and she freaked. Turns out the original owner's wife vanished in the 1950s. They never found her, but neighbors swore they heard her singing to her baby after she died. We moved out fast, but I still dream about that door. Last month, I drove past the house. New family lives there. And guess what? The kid's bedroom window had a tiny handprint on the glass from the inside.